Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are located. Thank you all so much for joining Amtrak Vacations as we travel to Canada by rail. So excited to have you here today joining us. First and foremost, let me just take a minute to introduce myself to you. My name is Jim Marini, and I'm proudly going to be your host today. And I'm really excited because we have a special guest speaker who's going to tell us all about the exciting trips available into Canada that you can take advantage of with Amtrak Vacations. Also want to mention at the end of today's presentation, we will be giving away a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. So stay tuned, everybody, to see if you are the lucky winner. Also, in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll notice we do have some exclusive discounts available to each and every one of you, just as a way of saying thank you for attending today's presentation. I also want to encourage all of you as well, if you have a pen and paper, please feel free to write down our website. That's our web address in the bottom left-hand corner. That's www.amtrakvacations.com, all one word, amtrakvacations.com, or certainly you can give us a call, and that number is 1-800-268-7252, or you can book any of these exciting trips through your local travel agent. So without further ado, everybody, we will get started. Why Amtrak Vacations? You know, a few years ago we took a survey of many of our travelers that traveled with us worldwide and really asked them why. And certainly, to no surprise, one of the top reasons, and maybe it's for some of you here today, it is a bucket list experience to be able to travel on Amtrak, travel by rail, and experience all the beauty within our own country as well as even over the border into Canada. So hopefully that's certainly a popular reason for many of you today. Also, room to roam. We want you to get up, walk around, stretch your legs, go to the observation car, go to the snack car, the dining car. Again, just take advantage of all the great aspects of traveling by rail throughout the United States. Also know that it is less hassle when you travel on board, or certainly booking any of these exciting packages with Amtrak Vacations. Everything now is electronic, everyone, so you'll receive e-ticketing, e-documents from either Amtrak Vacations or your local travel agent to book, again, any of these exciting packages that we highlight here today. Also, city-to-city service. I always love mentioning Penn Station as an example in New York City. In my opinion, there's really not a better station to start and or end your journey. Certainly for those of you looking to travel out to Eastern Canada, or where you can start and or end your trip, then in New York City. Many times you get there, you're within blocks of Times Square and Broadway shows. So again, one of many great train stations all over the United States to start and or end your journey up into Canada. Also, satisfy your hunger. You're going to hear about a great advantage whenever any of you upgrade to any of our sleeper categories in United States on Amtrak, or even Canada when you're in either a roomette or a bedroom. All of your meals will be included on the overnight portion of your trip if you're in a roomette or a bedroom when traveling on board Amtrak. So definitely keep that in mind. And last but not least, everybody, flexibility. Just know there's multiple departures all year long, and certainly when you're traveling up to Canada, in particular the Canadian Rockies, keep in mind the months of May through September, by far the most popular months to travel up to this beautiful area of Canada. As we move on to the next picture, one of the pictures I always love to show is a little fun trivia question, and that is, did you know you can actually also fly if you choose to and or from the starting or ending point on your journey? So you have the ability, of course, to book your own flights if you choose. Your local travel agent can help you with those. Or we here at Amtrak Vacations can start and or end your trip at any of the 500 Amtrak stations closest to you. So you just let any of our agents know who you speak to on the phone, or certainly a local travel agent, and we will help you with any of those reservations. As we move along, one of the pictures I always love to also feature at the beginning of all of my presentations is just where Amtrak travels to in the United States. Take a look at the map, everyone. As you can see, we travel throughout all of the United States. In fact, Amtrak actually travels to 46 out of the 48 contiguous states within the United States, with the exception of South Dakota and Wyoming. A little fun fact too, everyone, just last year alone, over 31 million people traveled on board Amtrak, and they came from all over the world, as many of you on today's call are also located from all over the world. So very, very excited. And today, obviously, we're going to be featuring our products into Canada, which you'll learn more about. And speaking of products, everyone, before I introduce our featured guest speaker today, I did want to mention there's many different types of rail vacations that you can take advantage of. Our most popular is our independent journeys, which is the top one listed underneath products. Those typically are anywhere from 5, 7, 10, up to 12 days in length. They're typically multi-city trips, little more flexibility to kind of come and go as you choose. But for us here at Amtrak Vacations, by far our most popular rail vacations. We also have family adventures, so if any of you are looking to travel with your children or grandchildren, we have some great packages there. We have rail and sail out to Alaska. Some of you may even want to take advantage of traveling out to the Canadian Rockies and then going on a beautiful Alaska cruise. We here at Amtrak Vacations can take care of all of that for you, as well as your local travel agent. We have 3-, 4-, and 5-day rail getaways, and last but not least, national parks. But today, our feature is on Canada and the Canadian Rockies, traveling on board Amtrak. As many of you may or may not be aware, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver are the 3 cities that allow each and every one of you to cross the border into this beautiful country. So without further ado, to explain more about how you can take advantage of these exciting trips and all about Canada, let me introduce Kyle Smith. All you, Kyle.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I am excited to be able to share with you our top-selling Canadian Amtrak vacation packages. And I had the experience and the privilege to travel to Canada last October with some of my coworkers to experience these packages for ourselves. And I got to spend time in Vancouver, Jasper, Banff, and Calgary, and I had a trip of a lifetime. So I'm so excited to be able to share my insight with you and introduce you to our Amtrak Vacations through Canada. So we're going to get right into it here. Our first package that we're going to be talking about today is one of our most popular Amtrak vacations. It's our Canadian Rockies Discovery Eastbound with Seattle. This is a very popular package with us, and it's worth noting before we get into it that, as you can see here, the package begins in Seattle. Well, we can get you to Seattle via Amtrak no matter where you're located. So if you're in the East Coast or the Midwest or even more local in the West, we can easily put you on the Amtrak out of your home destination there right up into Seattle to begin this package, or you can simply fly. It is up to you. But the Canadian Rockies Discovery with Seattle is one of our most popular packages. So this package is going to begin with a one-night stay in Seattle. So this is the day for you to arrive in Seattle. It's the start of your trip, and you'll get to experience this great city for one night. Our package includes hotel accommodations in the downtown area, centrally located to the Amtrak station for those of you that are going to be looking to travel on Amtrak to get to Seattle to start this package. We are going to include some activities for you. We are going to include admission to the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden and Glass Combo exhibit. Those are 2 of Seattle's most visited tourist attractions, and they are right next door to each other, right in the downtown area, so you won't want to miss that. And as well as giving you plenty of time to explore the city yourself. Seattle is home to the original Starbucks, so you can go over to that store and get yourself a good cup of joe and enjoy the skyline and this wonderful city before you continue your adventure into Canada. So after your one night in Seattle, you are going to board the Amtrak for a scenic ride up into Vancouver. It takes about 4 hours to get up there, but it's a very scenic ride. And you're going to spend 3 nights in Vancouver at one of our hotels. and we are going to include some activities. The first of which is a hop-on, hop-off city tour. Now these are like double-decker buses that are with an open roof that are going to go all over Vancouver. You're going to get a guided tour of the city, learn a lot about the rich history, and be able to take in the sights. So head up on top with your camera, take those photos, take those selfies, and you will definitely enjoy that. The other activity we have is the Vancouver Lookout, one of Vancouver's most popular attractions. So the Vancouver Lookout is actually a restaurant that's about 600 feet up in the air. So you can go up there. We include the admission for you. And you can sit down and order lunch or even have dinner or just simply order a drink. And the restaurant revolves 360 degrees. So you're going to get a complete view of the entire city while you're at the Vancouver Lookout. So you won't want to miss that. But on top of that, one of the benefits of an Amtrak vacation is downtime, leisure time. So you have 3 nights. We have these activities, but this gives you plenty of time to go and do the things you want to do. That's one of the main reasons why people book with us, is that we don't overwhelm our travelers with all these different activities. So you definitely have some downtime to sleep in, stay up late, and do the things you want to do. So after your 3 nights in Vancouver, you are going to, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. While you're in Vancouver, we do include a day trip over to Victoria. So a ferry transfer is going to then take you across the water to Victoria. You'll spend a good part of the afternoon seeing this great island and experiencing the afternoon tea at the Fairmont Impress. Now, if you've ever wondered what it's like to be royal, like a Kennedy or part of the royal family, this is your opportunity to experience that. So you're going to head over to the Fairmont Impress for a wonderful afternoon tea. The hotel's been doing this for many years, and they provide over 500,000 cups of tea each year. So it's definitely a main attraction. And as you know, Victoria is known as the City of Gardens, home to the Bouchard Gardens. So if you've got some extra time after the Fairmont Impress, you could head over to the Bouchard Gardens, check that out, and you won't want to miss that. Now, after your 3 nights in Vancouver, you are going to climb on board the Via Rail for an overnight trip over to Jasper. So as you're going through Jasper, you're going to see a lot of the Canadian Rockies, and when you arrive in Jasper, you're going to spend 2 nights at one of our hotels that we have included in this package. Now, one of the best things about Jasper is it's a small town, so when you get to the train station and get off the Via Rail, you can easily grab a taxi, or a lot of the hotels offer transportation, and they're all within about 5 minutes of the train station. So you're with your family, you've got your luggage, no problem. You'll get right to your hotel to get settled in, and you'll be in Jasper for 2 nights. And we include a sightseeing tour of Jasper National Park, which is home to many waterfalls, lakes, and hot springs. But you'll have plenty of time to explore Jasper. It's a great town. I found the locals to be very friendly, and they were very warm to foreigners traveling through, and they were very interested in why we were visiting Canada, what we were going to be doing. I remember just roaming the streets on my own, talking to people, and they're giving me restaurant recommendations, things to do. They just really bent over backwards to make my experience pleasant, and I know they'll do the same for you. So after your 2 nights in Jasper, you're going to head down through the Canadian Rockies into the Banff area. Now, the Canadian Rockies is the main reason why people travel to Canada on these Amtrak vacation packages. So when you check out of the hotel in Jasper, our package includes transportation that's going to take you through the Canadian Rockies, driving you down into Banff. And the photo you're seeing here is a picture of Lake Louise, which will be one of the stops along the way when you're en route to Banff, one of the most beautiful, picturesque sites ever in Canada. And I was able to stand right where this photo was taken, and I could not believe how beautiful it really is. If you've ever been to Canada or this part of the country, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, when you're en route to Banff, we are going to include a ride on board the Ice Explorer vehicle. So it's a giant ice vehicle that's going to take you out onto a glacier so you can stand on a real-life glacier and spend some time there. Very photogenic, a lot of fun. And we also include admission to the Glacier Skywalk, so you can get some great vantage points up from above. So here is a picture of me and some of my coworkers when we were traveling down through the Canadian Rockies to Banff. Now, keep in mind, I was there in October, and that's practically winter. So if you're traveling in the spring and summer, it's going to look nothing like this. But as you're driving through, the transportation will make a stop like every hour. They're going to pull off to the side of the road, and that's what happened here. And you're going to see wildlife just standing by. Great opportunity to stretch your legs, capture some good, memorable photos as you continue on down into Banff. So when you arrive in Banff, you are going to stay 2 nights at this wonderful city. And while you're in town, you're going to have the Mountains, Lakes, and Waterfalls tour. So you're going to get to see the surrounding area and be able to take in the beautiful sights as well. Here is a picture I took of the downtown Banff area. It's a very small town, very similar to Jasper, and so you can easily walk around. Everything is centrally located, and I was just strolling through the town, talking to locals, visiting some of the pubs, and it's a lot of fun. The people there are very friendly, and they're going to be more than happy to make recommendations for you while you're in town. So that is our Canadian Rockies Discovery eastbound with Seattle. Just as a recap, it's 11 days, 9 nights hotel accommodations, as well as transportation on the Amtrak and via rail with all the activities included. So we're now going to talk about another popular package that we offer, our Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria rail journey. Now this one's not as long as the Canadian package we just did a moment ago. We do offer smaller getaway packages. For those of you that are looking to not travel as long, maybe this would be a package worth exploring, our Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria rail journey. So this package will begin in Seattle, and again, we can get you into Seattle on board the Amtrak from any one of the 500 Amtrak stations nationwide, or you can simply fly. It's totally up to you. But your package is going to begin with a 2-night stay in Seattle. We are going to include the hop-on, hop-off trolley tour, as well as admission to the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden and Glass combo exhibit. So great opportunity to see Seattle on this trip. After Seattle, you're going to board the Amtrak heading over to Vancouver, where you're going to spend your next 2 nights. We are going to include the hop-on, hop-off city tour, as well as admission to the Capilano Suspension Bridge. Now, this is one of Vancouver's most popular attractions, and we include it on this package. Let me show you a photo of what I mean. So here it is here. So the Capilano Suspension Bridge sits up about 200 feet, and it spans across nearly about maybe a quarter of a mile or so, something like that. And you can walk right across, and you're going to see beautiful beautiful scenery of the trees and the mountains. And this is a picture I took right before I was able to walk across. And one thing worth noting for those of you that are into birds and love nature, this is a great opportunity to see a bald eagle. So when I was walking across the bridge, when I got about halfway across, I was just looking out over the trees, and I saw an eagle standing on a branch. Now I'm from California. I don't see a lot of eagles where I'm from, so this was definitely very fascinating. And so definitely bring your binoculars so you can catch the glimpses of that. You'll probably see more than one too. And then you can continue across the bridge to the other side here. This exhibit also has plenty of little snack bars. So here I am here just getting a cup of coffee. And there are more activities such as the treetops adventure. So when you get across the bridge, you can actually climb up on board a tree and walk from tree to tree, kind of like with this suspension bridge, but obviously a lot smaller. A lot of fun, great for children, and a good opportunity to see a little bit more of Vancouver from that vantage point. So after your 2 nights in Vancouver, you're going to then head over to Victoria, where you're going to spend the next 2 nights at one of our hotels. The package includes afternoon tea at the Fairmont Impress, as well as a hop-on, hop-off trolley tour that'll go all around the city. You can jump on and jump off anywhere, as well as admission to the Bouchard Gardens. Now, this is why people go to Victoria, to see the Bouchard Gardens. Our package will include the admission for you guys, so you can spend as much time as you'd like there, still leaving you plenty of time to see Victoria on your own and do the things you want to do. So the package there ends in Victoria, and we can easily get you back into Seattle for your return trip home on board the Amtrak, or if you were to fly out, there is a ferry service that will bring you back into either Vancouver or Seattle. The choice of which way to go is totally up to you. So here is our Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria rail journey, 7 days, hotel accommodations, as well as all these various different activities. Now that takes us to our most popular Amtrak Vacations through Canada, and that is our Ultimate Canada and Rockies Westbound. This package begins in Toronto. Again, we can get you into Toronto from any of the 500 Amtrak stations nationwide. The Amtrak does go into Toronto, and or if you chose to fly, that is totally up to you. So this particular package will begin in Toronto with a 2-night stay. We are going to include the hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, as well as admission to the CN Tower, which is just on the left of your screen there, leaving you plenty of time to explore Toronto on your own. And then after that, while you're in Toronto, you're also going to take a day trip out to Niagara Falls. The transportation is round trip from Toronto, which is included with this package. So definitely a fantastic opportunity to see the falls from the Canadian side. If you've ever been to Niagara Falls, you can go on the New York side as well as the Canadian side. The Canadian side is more glamorous. The views of the falls are even better, and that's where you're going to be. And you're going to have a sightseeing city tour with the Niagara on the lake. So while you're on this tour, you guys are going to learn a lot about the history of the falls and have plenty of time to, roam around and do the things you want to do before you head back into Toronto. So after your 2 nights in Toronto, you are going to board the Via Rail for a 3-night journey across Canada to Jasper. Now it's worth noting here, one of the key elements of an Amtrak vacation, whether you're traveling in the US or Canada, is we give you guys plenty of downtime while you're traveling. We give you activities while you're at your destination, but the overnights on the train is part of the vacation. So this is a great opportunity to get rested up for your continued adventure into Jasper. You can hang out in your seat or your sleeping compartment. You can roam the train, so you can head over to the observation car, just kick back, relax, enjoy the scenery, read a good book, and just kind of get your energy back for when you get into Jasper to continue your journey. So once you're in Jasper, you're going to stay 3 nights, and we include a sightseeing tour of the Icefields Parkway, admission to the Jasper Skytram, as well as admission to the Glacier Skywalk and the Glacier Discovery Center. So these are all great opportunities to see Jasper from a high vantage point that we have included in this package. So you'll be in Jasper for 3 nights, and then you're going to make your way down into Vancouver. So that's an overnight on the Via Rail going through the Canadian Rockies. And when you're in Vancouver, you're going to spend 1 night, and we include a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, admission to the Capilano Suspension Bridge, as well as the Vancouver Lookout. And your vacation package will end right here in Vancouver. Feel free to fly back home, or we can simply put you on the Amtrak and take you back to wherever home might be for you. So here's a recap of our Ultimate Canada and Rockies Westbound, 14 days, 8 nights, hotel accommodations with all the Via Rail and Amtrak included, and all the tours as well. So that is going to take us to one of our newer packages that we're offering this year, our Classic Canada Coast to Coast. We've never done a package that starts literally from one end of Canada and goes directly across to the other. So this is the first time we've rolled out a package like this, but we are already getting a lot of calls on it. It is it's turning into a very popular package. Classic Canada, coast to coast. The package is going to begin with a one-night stay in Halifax. Now, most of our passengers will likely fly into Halifax, but if you don't like to fly, you can easily get into Halifax on board the Via Rail. So if you're, if you're in the, the New York area or the Midwest, we can make your way to Toronto and then, take the train to Halifax. Totally possible to do that. So while you're in town, you'll have a one-night stay and a sightseeing city tour to kind of learn about the city. A little fun fact about Halifax is the Citadel, which is Canada's most visited natural historic site, is in Halifax. It's in the downtown area, so you won't want to miss that. So after your time in Halifax, you're going to make your way on the Via Rail overnight trip to Quebec City, where you're going to spend one night with a sightseeing city tour as well. And a little fun fact about Quebec City is that 87% of the world's maple syrup is produced in Quebec City. So for those of you that like waffles and pancakes, this is where your maple syrup is likely coming from. It's produced right there in Quebec City. You'll learn about that while you're in town on the sightseeing city tour. Still leaving you plenty of time to explore the city on your own. And then you're going to make your way down into Montreal on board the Via Rail. You're going to spend 2 nights in Montreal this time. And now Montreal is Canada's largest city, and it hosts every year the Jazz Festival every June. So, the Jazz Festival is home in Montreal, and you'll have a sightseeing city tour while you're in town, and you'll still have plenty of time to roam the city and do the things you want to do. After Montreal, you're going to make your way down into Toronto, where you'll spend some time there with a day trip out to Niagara Falls, and we include the transportation for that as well. And after your time in Toronto, you're going to board the Via Rail for your 3-night journey across Canada to Jasper, where you're going to spend the next 3 nights, 3 nights on the Via Rail, 2 nights in Jasper. And we include a sightseeing tour of Jasper National Park and the Canadian Rockies. So after Jasper, you're going to then take the Via Rail over to Vancouver, where you're going to spend 1 night. And we do include the hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour as well. And this vacation will come to an end in Vancouver. You can easily fly home from Vancouver, or we can put you on the train to return home as well. So this is just the overview of our newest package, Classic Canada Coast to Coast. It's a 16-day package with 10-night hotel accommodations, as well as the Via Rail with all the activities as well. So that is going to take us to another popular package that we offer, our New York and Eastern Canada. So this package begins in New York City, and like Jim said, getting into New York City on board Amtrak is very favorable. It's very clean and very easy. You can get there from anywhere across the country. And this package begins with a 2-night stay at the Big Apple. And you are going to be either in the Times Square area or in the Midtown. That's where all of our hotels are located. We offer Marriotts, we have Sheratons, we have a very nice Holiday Inn and so forth. So a lot of different hotels in that area. 2-night stay with a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. It'll make stops at the 9/11 Memorial, Empire State Building, Times Square, and you can jump on and jump off anywhere you like. It's a great way to see the big city. So after your 2 nights in New York, you're going to get on board the Amtrak, and you're going to make your way over to Niagara Falls, and that is a very scenic train ride going through upstate New York. It's very beautiful, and when you get to Niagara Falls, you're going to spend 2 nights. All of our hotels are right up along the side of the falls there, so you're going to have great vantage points to see the falls from your hotel. We include the Niagara Falls on the lake with lunch, so you can have a nice lunch and get great views of the falls. And we also include the Journey Behind the Falls activity. So on that tour, you get to go behind the falls and learn a lot about the history and just see it from a different vantage point. A lot of our customers give us a lot of good feedback on that, they get to know the falls a lot better, get to see the history a lot more, and get a different vantage point. So you won't want to miss that. And then after Niagara Falls, you're going to go and make your way over to Toronto, where you're going to spend the next 2 nights. And we include a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour and admission to the CN Tower as well. You're then going to continue on into Montreal. We're going to spend the next 2 nights with a guided city tour, still leaving you plenty of time to do the things you guys want to do. So you don't want to forget that. And then you're going to make your way on into Quebec City, and this package does include a guided city tour and leaving you plenty of time to do the things you want to do. You'll be there 2 nights, and then that package will end right there, and we can easily get you back home from Quebec City. You would just take the Via Rail back into Toronto, and we can get you home from there as well. So here's the overview: 11 days with 10-night hotel accommodations with activities as well. Now another package that we offer that's quite popular is our Montreal and Quebec City combo from Toronto. So like I said earlier, we offer a lot of smaller getaway packages that are not so many days in length, like that classic Canada, 16 days. So for those of you that are looking to travel not as long, this would be a package I'd recommend to you. Now the package does begin in Toronto. There are no hotel accommodations associated with this package in Toronto. However, from based experience with helping customers book this trip, a lot of people will either fly or take the train, and they'll come in a day early, and we'll arrange a 1-night hotel stay for them. We call that a pre-night, and we can do that for you as well, so you're not feeling rushed to make the train. If that's something you're interested in, any one of our consultants can help you with that. And so this package begins in Toronto. You'll board the Via Rail heading over to Montreal, where you'll spend 2 nights. We include the sightseeing city tour and dinner at a popular restaurant. After your time in Montreal, you're going to board the Via Rail over to Quebec City, where you're going to spend the next 2 nights with a sightseeing city tour and dinner at a popular restaurant. Still leaving you plenty of time to do the things you guys want to do. And then the Via Rail will then bring you back into Toronto, where if you want to spend another night before you fly home, we can certainly arrange that for you. But here is the recap: 5 days, 4-night hotel accommodations with the activities included as well. So that's going to take us to another smaller package that we offer, our Niagara Falls Explorer from New York City. So this has turned to be a very popular package for those of you that are in the New England area that want to go see Niagara Falls and Montreal and Quebec. So we do offer this. So it's a 6-day package beginning in New York over to Niagara Falls. So it's going to be 5-night hotel accommodations, admission to the Skylon Tower. So that's a tower that goes up about 700 feet. Great vantage points too. While you're at the tower looking down on the falls, they've got a great restaurant up there if you want to have lunch or dinner. We also include the Niagara Falls on the Lake tour with lunch. We also include admission to the IMAX Theater with dinner at a popular restaurant as well, and this is round trip out of New York City. So I want to talk for a moment about the onboard accommodations on Amtrak. And so Amtrak does offer sleeper cars. They have the basic coach seating, and that's what we're going to talk about now for a moment. And again, this is part of your adventure, is your time on board the train. Flying to your destination definitely will get you there faster. But what you'll miss is the beautiful scenery on the way. So you're going to be able to see the country like you cannot see if you decided to fly. So Amtrak does offer coach accommodations as their basic accommodation here. So as you can see from the picture, the seats are about double the size of a first class seat on an airplane. They recline back about 45 degrees. There's a little lever there that you can pull, and the recliner will come up and elevate your legs for you. So if you bring one of those neck pillows like you would on a plane, you can be very comfortable in the coach accommodations if you're looking to just travel with coach. If you're more budget sensitive with your travels, this would be an accommodation for you. But for those of you that are looking to experience a greater value and have a sleeping car with your meals included, access to a shower, especially on our packages that have 1 or 2 or 3 nights across Canada, like on the Via Rail does, then you're going to want to look at a sleeper car. And Amtrak offers 2 sleeping car accommodations. The first one is what we call a roomette. Now, a roomette sleeps 2 people. And so from the photo you see here, this is a day view of the roomette. The 2 chairs that are facing each other, they will convert to the bottom bunk at night. And the top bunk for the second sleeper is in the ceiling. Now, one of the best things about a sleeper is these sleeper cars come with a room car attendant, and they will make your reservations in the dining car for your meals. They will prepare the room for you at night when you're ready to turn in for the night as well. And so a roomette is the most basic accommodation of a sleeper. The bathroom and shower accommodations are just going to be slightly down the hall. But for those of you that do want to look for the greatest value, Amtrak does offer a deluxe sleeper. We call that a bedroom. And the bedroom comes with a complete and full bathroom and shower inside the room. So it's like a small hotel room on board the train. You don't have to go down the hall to grab a shower or use the restroom. It's going to be right there in your room with you. And the room car attendant will prepare the rooms for you at night, so you don't have to worry about that. They'll make your reservations in the dining car, and they really help when you're in a sleeping car to have the room car attendant. They're very friendly, approachable, they're fun to talk to, so I would encourage you to do that as well. Okay, so part of the Amtrak experience, as I have been talking about, is just the downtime you have. So when you're on Amtrak, traveling, whether it's into Canada or just simply going across the U.S., go hang out in the observation car. You're not confined to your seat, whether you have a basic seat in coach or a roomette or a bedroom. You can roam the train, like Jim mentioned earlier. You can go to the observation car and get great views. You can go to the cafe car, get yourself something to drink or something to eat, and just enjoy this downtime and not having to worry about driving. So, really enjoy this time when you're on the train as well. Now, the dining car is a lot of fun. This actually was my favorite part of my Amtrak vacation earlier last year. Jim and I and a few others went to Chicago, spent the night, got to see some of the activities, and then we took the Amtrak to San Francisco on the California Zephyr, and we had a roomette, and our meals were included. So the dining car here is strictly for the sleeping car passengers only. And chef-prepared meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you'll make a reservation with the room car attendant. You'll head over to the dining car, order off the menu. The Amtrak employees will bring you your food, just like at a restaurant, and you'll get to know some people you've never met before. So if you're traveling with your husband or your wife, you'll probably sit down with 2 or 3 others, have a nice meal together, get to know one another. Definitely is part of the experience of having a sleeping car on board the Amtrak. And so, without further ado, I want to go ahead and turn the microphone back over to Jim, who is going to share with us how you guys can book one of these vacation packages. He's going to announce the winner of the gift card, talk about our other discounts, and then we're going to go ahead and take some time and answer your questions. I can already see there are a lot of great questions, and we will do our best to get through to those as well. So, Jim, it's back to you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Kyle, and thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed Kyle's presentation as much as I did, and hopefully learned a thing or two about all that the Canadian Rockies and even Eastern Canada has to offer, including even the maple syrup, interestingly enough, in Quebec City. Wow, I didn't know that. But anyway, how can you learn more about these packages or any other exciting packages that we have available into Canada, or certainly anywhere in the United States? Visit our website, everyone. That's www.amtrakvacations, all one word, amtrakvacations.com, to learn more about these or other exciting packages that we have to offer. As we move through the remainder of the presentation onto the next picture, how to book. That's really more the exciting part. We had our first presentation this morning. I've already had a ton of folks booking and planning their travel into Canada. So certainly our agents are here waiting to help each and every one of you to book any of these or other exciting packages that we have available. Certainly you could give us a call. Our number is listed right there on the left-hand side, 1-800-AMTRAC2, otherwise 1-800-268-7252. As I mentioned, you can visit our website, or certainly you can also book any of these exciting packages or any other packages through your local travel agent on Amtrak Vacations. And I will mention too, as we continue through the remainder of the presentation, any trip that we have, or certainly any trip that you're thinking of, any of them can be customized to be as long or as short as you would like, to include as much or as little as you would like. So that's the nice part as well, everyone. We can customize and modify and create these trips for you just the way that you would like. What I always mention to everyone is chances are whatever trip or rail vacations you're thinking of, chances are we already have a package just for you. Now, here is part one of two exciting announcements that I want to share with each of you. The first one is right here, everyone, called our Everyday Discount. Now, if you qualify for any of these four categories, if you're a AAA member, if you're older than 62, if you have children ages 2 to 12, or you are active duty military, thank you very much for your service, you get to qualify on the rail portion of any of these packages that we have to offer just by booking into any of these trips. Now again, it is on the rail portion. These only qualify for new reservations, so new bookings, and they are not combinable. So for instance, if any of you are a active, if you're, for instance, a AAA member or older than 62, then we will give you the largest discount. So in this case, it would be the senior discount, which would be 15% off, and again, that's on the rail portion. Okay, so if any of you qualify for 2 or 3 of these, we will give you the one that has the largest discount available to you, and that's every day, anytime on the rail portion of your trip. But more exciting, everyone, is actually what we're offering on this particular presentation, which is the next picture, which we'll move to, and that is our exclusive attendee discount. So if you have a paper and pen, everyone, I encourage you to feel free to write this down, because this is only going to last for 2 weeks. In fact, it expires January 27th of this month. So any of you that book any of our packages into Canada, or certainly even in the United States, and you upgrade from either to a roomette or a bedroom, we will take off $100 of whatever the current rate is today on the cost of either a roomette or a bedroom. Okay, so as long as you upgrade from a coach seat, which is the main seating on board Amtrak, to either a roomette or a bedroom, we will take off $100 per couple, and that's as long as you book with the small deposit by January 27th to travel anytime this year. But it gets better, everyone, because it's not only on Amtrak in the United States to get you to and or from Canada, but also on Via Rail throughout Canada. So if any of you upgrade on Via Rail from economy, okay, which is their economy class, in essence similar to the coach class, okay, to either one of their sleepers, then you will also get $100 off per couple. So you have the opportunity to not only travel to 2 great countries, but to experience 2 amazing trains, and better yet, and most important, to experience and take advantage of 2 amazing savings, both on Amtrak and Via Rail, again, as long as you upgrade to one of the sleeper categories. Now, the last thing I'll mention on this particular slide is you want to refer to our promo code when you're speaking to any of our vacation consultants, or certainly your local travel agent. And that promo code, everyone, it's listed right there in the middle. That is webinar CA0118. Again, it's webinar CA0118. So whether you call any of our vacation consultants to book any of these exciting packages or book through your local travel agent, make sure to have that webinar code handy, and we will apply those exciting discounts, again, as long as you book before the end of this month, January 27th, to travel anytime in 2017. And if we move to the next picture, I do want to mention, everyone, don't forget to download your handout located right here on the right-hand side. So feel free to download that. And of course, as Kyle and I are getting ready to answer any questions, I want to encourage you to feel free to type away any additional questions that you may have. So if we move to the very last picture, everyone, last but certainly not least, there is our 800 number to book any of these exciting packages, or again, as I mentioned, throughout today's presentation, you can certainly book any of these exciting rail vacations into and throughout Canada through your local travel agent as well. But we have a winner to announce, Kyle, so without further ado, let's announce today's winner of our $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card, and that is Alana Noble. Alana Noble, congratulations. You are today's winner of our $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. Congratulations. So with that in mind, everybody, we are going to open up to questions. And again, as Kyle and I go through these questions, please feel free to type away any additional questions that you may have. But again, want to thank you all very much. So without further ado, we will kind of move right through and hopefully answer all the questions that you may have. So we have, let's see, first question from, let's see, Eleanor. Will Amtrak make reservations for clients that will like to fly back from a destination? One-way fares can be very pricey. And some of these I can answer on my own, and others I'll invite Kyle to join me. So Eleanor, to answer that question for you, we here at Amtrak Vacations, we do not book any airline flights. However, obviously you have the ability to book those on your own, or certainly I would encourage you to book any flights to get you to and or from any of these exciting destinations Kyle went over through your local travel agent, who can definitely help you in getting some great rates as well. Okay, great question. Next question from Allison. Do you have any tours designed to highlight fall leaves scenery that include the Nova Scotia area? Great question, Allison, and I can answer on this, and then Kyle, if there's anything else you'd like to add as well, please feel free to. Of course, when it comes to fall foliage, everyone, whether it's here in the States within the New England or East Coast area, or even up in Eastern Canada, typically Canada, the foliage is going to happen a little bit earlier than it would in New England. New England, traditionally, it's October. Eastern Canada, it's traditionally in September. So that's the first thing I would suggest, is consider September. And as far as Halifax and Nova Scotia area, you know, the beautiful part with us is, again, as I mentioned, we can customize any of these trips. So wherever the train is able to take you to and or from, we can help you with those arrangements. We also have the ability to include transfers if needed, rental cars throughout certain parts of the United States. And Kyle, not sure if you have anything else maybe to add to that as far as the flexibility to have to help a trip like that.
Absolutely. So the Classic Canada, the newer package we did that starts in Halifax, we run that package into September. So that would be a great opportunity to see the Canadian fall foliage, and you can, you know, Halifax going through Nova Scotia into Quebec City. That overnight train would be your opportunity to see that. So absolutely.
Great. Okay, next question from Robert. Can you guarantee a sleeping car that is not up in the front near the engine? So not sure if you want to elaborate on that answer from Robert.
Absolutely, we can 100% guarantee that, because the sleeping cars are usually right in the middle of the train. And so these trains are long, more than 20 cars. The sleeping cars run, you know, 3 or 4 cars per train, and they're usually right in the middle, so you won't be near the engines.
Great. Thanks so much, Kyle. Next question from Lori. In the roomette cars, how many bathrooms and showers are there? And do clients have to reserve shower times, or is it first come, first serve? So I'll pass this back to Kyle.
Yeah, great question. So with a roomette accommodation, the showers are first come first serve. On a train car that has sleeping cars, there's usually about 20 roomettes per car, and for every 20 roomettes, there's 5 or 6 bathrooms. So when I was on the Amtrak for 2 nights in a roomette going to San Francisco from Chicago, and each morning I got up at 6 or 7 in the morning to go shower. I did not have to wait. So if you're an early riser, you should be fine. But there's 5 or 6 bathrooms. Only one person could use it at a time. So if there is a wait, it may not be that long, but it is first come first serve.
Great, thanks, Kyle. And we have another question from Robert. What do you see on the 3-day, 2-night trip to Jasper?
Okay, so heading into Jasper, you're going to see a lot of the mountains and the Canadian Rockies and a lot of lakes. When you're in Jasper, Robert, you're going to see Jasper National Park. You're going to be able to go through the Canadian Rockies by Lake Louise as you make your way down into the Banff area and the surrounding area as well.
Great. All right, thanks so much. And we have a 2-part question from Lori. Does every train route have an observation car with Amtrak and Via Rail? And can you combine the children discount with the AAA discount? On the everyday discount, it sounded like some discounts could not be combinable.
Yeah, the discounts are usually not combinable. Amtrak does offer child fares, so when you call into one of our vacation consultants, you would just tell us the number of children and their ages, and they would handle that for you. So the bottom line price that they present to you would reflect children rates as well. And what was that second part of that question, Jim, for the roomettes?
Yep. So the second one was, does every train route have an observation car with Amtrak and Via Rail?
Absolutely. So with Amtrak, all the major trains that go like across the country are going to have an observation car. Amtrak has a lot of trains in the Northeast called the Northeast Corridor, and those are local commuter trains. So those are not going to have an observation car. But if you're going across the country or an overnight, that particular train will have an observation car, and it's the same thing with Via Rail. So most of Via Rail trains do have observation cars. The Via Rail train I was on from Vancouver to Jasper had 5 or 6 observation cars because there was like over 30 cars on the train. So if you're on Via Rail, there's going to be more than one observation car. If you're on the Amtrak going on the California Zephyr from San Francisco to Chicago, there'll be one observation car. Can seat about 30, 40 people. So yeah, absolutely. Good question.
Great. Thank you very much. And here's a good question from Susan, which I'll pass to Kyle. How often may we apply the discount to a sleeper? For instance, if we have multiple legs on our journey, may we apply the code to each leg every time we upgrade?
Yeah, good question. So the discount that we're offering for this webinar it's a one-time discount for all the train segments. So it's not going to be split into every individual train, even though our packages do have different trains, but it's one package. So you're not going to be paying, different prices, for 3 different trains if you're going through Canada or the U.S. So when our vacation consultant offers you a package, it's going to include all the train that's in the package as well as the train coming from your hometown, all one complete package with the $100 discount applicable towards it.
Great. Next question from Gary. Are Via Rail sleeping accommodations similar to Amtrak's? I'll pass this back to Kyle.
Yeah, Gary, good question. The Via Rail sleeping accommodations are comparable to Amtrak. So the cabin for 2 on the Via Rail is very similar to the deluxe bedroom on an Amtrak. It'll sleep 2 people, a little bit bigger in space, your shower accommodations, meals included, and then Via Rail also has sleeping berths, which are very similar to the roomette. that are a little bit smaller that sleep two people, comparable to Amtrak's roomette, which also sleeps two people. So if you just combine, if you look at them individually, you'll notice that they're very similar.
Great. Thanks so much, Kyle. Next question I can answer. Can Amtrak reservations book train travel only from New York City to Quebec City? So if it's train only, you would book that directly with Amtrak. If it's any packages where it would be train with sightseeing tours, meals, hotels, to customize as long or as short as you want, that's Amtrak Vacations. Basically, rule of thumb is we handle everything plus the train. So including the train plus, whether it's sightseeing, meals, tours, activities, and we again can customize any of those for you. That was from Susan. Okay, next question from Michael. What would you recommend for a journey beginning in Boston, going to Halifax, and cruising to New York City, looking at May or June 2017? So I'll pass that over to Kyle.
Okay, so from Boston over to Halifax, you can do that on board Amtrak and Via. So the way that would work is you'd get on the train in Boston, and you would first head down to New York City. You'd have to spend the night in New York because the train from New York to Montreal or Toronto only goes out once per day, and that's very early in the morning. So you'll spend the night in New York, and then get on board the Maple Leaf, which will take you up into Canada, and then to head east towards Halifax, you'd have to spend the night in Toronto. So as long as you're okay with spending 2 additional nights, one in New York, one in Montreal, then you could easily take the Via Rail, then ride on into Halifax. Yeah, you can totally do that, though.
Great. Okay, next question from Gibson, and I'll pass this back to Kyle. Can you join an Amtrak vacation during its scheduled route and continue for the rest of the trip?
Okay. Good question. So our Amtrak vacations we specialize in independent travel. So what that means, Gibson, is let's say for the Ultimate Canada trip, Toronto going to Jasper and Vancouver, that's not a guided, escorted tour. So we offer these packages any given day of the week. You know, they are seasonal, so it's going to be May through, September. But if you wanted to leave on a Friday versus a Monday, or a Monday versus a Friday, you could totally do that. So this is not a fully escorted trip. The trip begins when you want it to begin. And like Jim mentioned during the presentation, the packages are very flexible. So let's say you're doing the Ultimate Canada, which is in Toronto going west, but you wanted to spend another night in Toronto before you got on the train. No problem. Just let our vacation consultants know. Or you wanted to spend another night in Jasper or Vancouver. Not a problem. We can arrange that for you. So it's not an escorted trip. You're not with a big group with a tour guide. It's independent travel. So we can customize it if that's what you're looking for.
Great. Thanks, Kyle. Next question, two-part question from Phil. What is the difference of booking direct with Via Rail or Amtrak? And the second question is, how fast does the train travel? Is it like looking out of the passenger window of a car? So I'll pass this back to Kyle.
Absolutely. First part of that question, there is no difference whether you book your travel with Via Rail or Amtrak versus calling us. It's exactly the same price. So there's no price differential. And if you, just giving you a little heads up there, if you call Amtrak directly and you mention that you're interested in a cross-country trip with Amtrak with hotels and fun activities, they are going to transfer you over to Amtrak Vacations. So either way, you're going to end up talking to us anyway. But there is no price differential. And then in terms of how fast the train goes, on a straightaway with no curves, the Amtrak goes about 60 miles an hour. So it's like looking out the window, in your car heading down the interstate. So yeah, good question.
Great. Yeah, very good. Next question from Kathleen. Are the hop-on, hop-off tours wheelchair accessible? I'll pass that back to Kyle.
Yes, they are. So when you absolutely. So when you go to get on the hop on, hop off, they are wheelchair accessible. Good question.
Yep. And looks like we're almost finished with questions. Next one from Pamela, who unfortunately was attending late and asked if there's another webinar session. So yes, Pamela, there will be one more session tonight at 7 p.m. That you're more than welcome to join us. We are also recording this session as we speak, so we will follow up with everyone who attended and or missed any of our webinars today on traveling to Canada, so you can hear it in case you're not able to make the live version. Okay, and it looks like, let's see, a couple more questions. Next one from Lori. Are all sleeping accommodations behind a closed door on both Amtrak and Via Rail? If that's possible. I remember back in the day where there was trains that had beds behind curtains. So maybe you could touch on that, Kyle, between Amtrak and Via Rail.
Absolutely. So on the Amtrak, whether you have a roomette or a bedroom, they are closed doors that lock. Regardless of which accommodation you go with, they also have curtains that will cover up the windows. So let's say you had a roomette. You can close the door of the roomette, latch it to lock it, and then cover up the window so nobody can see in for complete privacy. So same thing with the bedroom. They do come with closable doors that'll lock. The Via Rail cabin for two has a door as well. The sleeping berths on the Via Rail are curtains though. So they're still private, but there are curtains as well.
Great. Thanks, Kyle. Next question from Susan. And Susan, I can definitely answer on this one. Have you looked into partnering with Rocky Mountaineer between Vancouver and Banff and Jasper? Yes, we actually have. And Kyle, I don't know if you've seen anything on your end, but I know it is in the process of looking to also form a partnership with them for anyone who wants something a little more upscale between the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah, I heard something about that. There's no plans, in the immediate forefront. Maybe later in the year. But Jim, I'm right there with you. I'm not 100% certain at this time.
Okay. Okay, got it. And Susan, thank you for your question and your comment. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Next question from Anita. Are the hop-on, hop-off owned tours operated by Amtrak? So, great question, Anita. I'll turn that over to Kyle.
Yeah, good question. No, the hop-on, hop-off are not owned by Amtrak. They are private companies that we partner with to offer those. And so, yeah, we don't own them, and neither does Amtrak.
Yep. And it looks like the last question. So, and that is from Phil. How do you connect with the cruise? So, maybe you could just explain the Alaska cruise and kind of how they would hop on and off.
Absolutely, good question. So with our rail and sail, the current packages that we offer, they start in Chicago on the Amtrak. The reason for that is because Chicago is Amtrak's main station in the country. All the major routes go in and out of Chicago. So the way we have it is you get on the train in Chicago on the Empire Builder. You take a 2-night journey across the Northwest into Seattle. When you get to Seattle, our rail and sail package includes a 1-night hotel stay. And then the following day you board the Norwegian cruise for your 7-day journey, coming back into Seattle where you disembark, and we leave it open on how you'd like to get back home. Most people usually fly from experience. Some people do Amtrak, and if that's what you're looking to do, we'll go ahead and arrange a 1-night stay in the city because there wouldn't be enough time getting off the ship and making the train. So a 1-night stay on the back end would how we would accommodate any rail portion heading home.
Great. And it looks like, everyone, we have time for one more question. I did want to say any questions that we did not get to, we will definitely do our best to make sure we answer those before the webinar expires. But last question, which I know we're in the works. I'm not sure if it's been finalized as of yet. From Kate, do we have any packages from Winnipeg to Churchill to see polar bears?
We don't have any packages at this time for that, although that is something to look into.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have any immediate plans for that, but we can certainly look into that, though. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Sure. All right. And other than that, everyone, I did want to say on behalf of Amtrak Vacations and Kyle, thank you all very much for joining us here today. I hope you enjoyed our presentation. And again, our agents are here waiting to help each and every one of you and your friends and family, as well as your local travel agents. So definitely, if you book any trips through your agents locally, feel free to give them a call. Again, I'm going to go back and just remind everyone about the exciting discount available if you book by January 27th, which is just in about 2 weeks. We will offer $100 off per couple if you upgrade to any sleeper category on your Amtrak vacation package within the United States and or Canada. So keep that in mind. All right. So on behalf of myself and Kyle, just wanted to say thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you, your friends, and family on board soon in the near future. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. Take care.